Good afternoon, everyone. It's the 16th of January, just after lunch, actually, and read this article this morning. So this is a bit of a rework of an article I found online, and I thought this is a fantastic way of thinking about branding, which is the current unit I'm teaching with the lower sixth. We've covered YED before, we've done market positioning, we've done all of those sorts of things, which is quite important. But this is a lovely article. It also looks at some of those external factors that we should be aware of as well. And I've reworked this case study for you to make sure that it includes some language from YED. So we've got inferior, we've got real income, for example, and stuff like that. So we can use these theories interchangeably. But this is about pawnbrokers, and some of you wouldn't have come across pawnbrokers before, but it's worth talking about that briefly before. So as we can see, I've gone on and clipped this from their website. We can see that you can do currency exchanges and transfers abroad. So these are normally high street stores, bricks and mortar, and we can see that they sell jewelry and watches, and we'll see the impact of external slow growth in income, shall we say, in context with their sales. They also buy jewelry and watches as well, but most of their money is probably made from loans. Now, these are short-term loans, relatively high interest rates, so they're sort of aimed at, I think, and the company might disagree, at people on low to middle income without a lot of disposable income. So if I've got a nice watch and I want some money, I need some money to take me through to payday, for example, pay a bill unexpectedly, excuse me, then I might give them my watch as security on the loan, and then I will pay a small interest fee on top of that money if I want the watch back. If I don't take the watch back after a certain period of time, they will sell it. So you have to think about the nature of the customer that might go into these branches. You'll find them in shopping centres, on high streets, and it won't surprise you that you'll find more of these in, shall we say, less desirable cities or parts of cities. So I'm going to whiz through this article and maybe comment on it a little bit. There's lots of reading here, I'm afraid. So we've got cost of living crisis up here. Now, we're hearing in the news at the moment that actually wages are on the increase, and this article covers this. However, you should be thinking, is that everyone? And maybe it's not. Okay, so we've got fluctuations in real incomes, we've got inferior goods in the title, so you should know by now what real income means, and that's after inflationary pressures. Okay, so Ramsdens, a prominent pawnbroking chain in the UK, has reported a surge in profits, a sign of the cost of living crisis impact on customer behaviour, especially towards these inferior goods. Despite record profits, the company faces increasing operational costs. So we've got those mentioned in the article. With 165 outlets, yeah, these are shops, and nearly 800 staff, we could work out an average staff ratio per store, but there'll be some head office people there as well. Ramsdens' revenue rose by 27% in the financial year ending September. Profits before tax climbed 22% to that, thanks to a strong performance in pawnbroking, which I've mentioned, short-term loans against my watch, currency exchange, jewelry retail, and gold purchasing. This is people that might just bring in gold, they weigh it, they get an amount of money, and they go away with the money. And then this company will just sell that on either as jewelry or as just gold. Yeah, we've seen an increase in gold prices recently for lots of obvious reasons. The demand for certain services offered by Ramsdens, particularly pawnbroking, aligns with the concept of inferior goods. Products whose demand increases when real incomes decline. Okay, so you've got a definition there, which comes into the link. That's how you could justify the link between inferior and pawnbroking. As the cost of living crisis deepens, consumers are more inclined to seek alternatives like pawnbroking services, highlighting Ramsdens' strategic position in the market. So we've got position in the market there. Price, quality, possibly might be those metrics that we learned in the class. You could think about where they are compared to other jewelers. Okay. However, in the latter part of 2023, showed sales growth stagnate, as in they've sort of stayed the same, especially in jewelry. Okay, this is a key revenue area for them. The company is wary of economic difficulties ahead, citing rising costs, interest rates, 10% hike in real living wage from May. Okay, so that's not here quite yet. Maybe they're waiting for this so people have got more money to buy jewelry, maybe. So we know that interest rates have gone up with the Bank of England base rates. We talked about it in class. We know we've seen increased energy costs, and it might be that people that are in debt, maybe they've got mortgages as well, or rent at home, or other loans, which is quite important. Why would you go to a high interest loan company when you can get cheaper loan rates? Well, maybe it's because you've got limited choices. So they're optimistic about the future, long-term strategy. Maybe when interest rates come down. Yeah. Amid these challenges, despite their strong performance, Ramsdens shares fell 3.5%. Yeah, and this is reflecting on the broader economic uncertainties. One of those uncertainties is we might be changing government soon. One of those are, will the Bank of England lower their base rates to make us all feel a little bit wealthier if we've got a mortgage, we have more disposable income to buy gold from Ramsdens maybe. The situation underscores the role of branding and promotion in maintaining demand for Ramsdens' diverse services. As a pawnbroker in tough economic times, Ramsdens' success, especially in pawnbroking, indicates how well suited their services are to the current economic environment. I've got money at home, I've got some old gold, I don't wear it very often, I need some money, energy prices are going up, I've got a massive electric bill that I need to pay, sell the gold. Okay, in better times, maybe with lower energy prices, maybe if I've got more disposable income because I'm earning more money, maybe I don't need to sell my jewelry. Ramsdens trading matches expectations, and the company sees opportunities to grow its income stream. Precious metal purchases rose by nearly 50%. That is a chunk of their business last year, with jewelry retail, which includes both new and second-hand items, as well as premium watches. This grew by 23% to that. Okay, we could do a comparison between those as well, or we could work out what it was before, by the way. You could do a reverse percentage change if you're quick with your maths, and you could say what it was before. Okay, so it's quite an easy opportunity to do some easy maths here. The pawnbroking service, benefiting from the high demand of inferior goods, saw its active loan book increase by 20%. So these are just their loans, £10.3 million. Okay, so this is a growth area, and actually the rapid growth area, which is now stagnating, is obviously the jewelry side of it. So you can talk about, however, in the future, if this is a 12 marker. Foreign currency profits also grew by 8% to 13.6 million. They make a lot of money out of foreign currency. So moving on, two different theories here. So what I've done here for you is copied out chunks from your scheme of work. Okay, this is exactly as you've seen it. You've got this printed out in your folders. I've written down the formula for YED. You're seeing I've put QD here, which is quantity demanded. If you wrote D like we do in class, or QD, they're both right, so it's absolutely fine. Okay, demand always goes on top, as we know, and that's 1 point in a calculate question. Then you will draw the blank formula. You go to the case study, it always gives you something. Yep, so it might give you the YED coefficient. Remember, there's pluses and minuses here for obvious reasons. And then they'll make you work for something else. Maybe it's the quantity demanded is changed, and you have to calculate that to work the percentage out. Okay, then you calculate the blank space, and then you've got your answer. So you need to practice these if you're not comfortable with them. Really easy maths. Remember, your pluses and minuses are very important for those normal versus inferior goods. And if you don't label it properly, you're going to lose a mark. So we've got a definition here which you can read in context with Ramsdens. Okay, so we've got that brand. We're describing the brand. Okay, it's a pawnbrokers. They sell jewelry through retail branches and they do foreign currency. Okay, quite important that we see that. Last time I went to John Lewis to think about buying a new watch, that they didn't offer to loan me money based on the one that was already on my wrist. So it's a different business model. So with everything, we need advantages, disadvantages. So we've looked at the case study, and we've thought about the advantages here. So we've got differentiation of the brand. It stands out. It is an inferior product, and we don't look on it as luxury. And that's probably a good thing for the state of the economy and people's disposable income at the moment. And we can see some benefits of that differentiation in the marketplace. They've got 165 stores as well. So that differentiation might be that one person in one town or city has seen the brand, and then they see it again. And then the familiarity is, oh, I'm used to that brand. It's a bit like a Starbucks. You think you're getting a Starbucks, but actually you're probably getting it from a franchisee working under contract. Yeah, my local Starbucks is a bit different than those Starbucks that are actually run by Starbucks. Okay, unfortunately for the franchise, they don't quite standardize as much as they should. Customer loyalty, that's the one that they might have been there already. They may have got a loan on their watch and then paid it back and got another one, and then suddenly they need more money for whatever reason. They might go back for that familiarity. This business is not about just loaning something once. It's an ongoing thing. How can you build rapport with this? So it's really, really important that it's focused on long-term benefits. Customers will want to know that they're secure. They'll want to know relative value for money. And they'll want to know that their products that they've given you as guarantee on a loan are also being looked after. They might be precious. They might want them back. They might not. Yeah. So think about that when you're describing advantages, disadvantages. Context is king, remember. Disadvantages, well, we've got the branding efforts. They've got 165 stores. We could have done the ratio on the staff per store using that number. Actually, this is quite a labor-intensive process. And I'm thinking, when I bring a watch in, someone with skills needs to appraise that. They need to value it. They don't want to give me too much of a loan for it because it might not be worth it. So the loan will always be less than the product is worth, just in case that person never comes back and I'm stuck with a watch. So, I'm going to need to resell that, get my money back and profit from it. And remember, I'm also missing out on the opportunity cost of the profit from the loan on the initial product as well. So we have to think about that business model. That's actually quite a skilled job, I would think. I've never appraised jewelry before. I'm a Dalmatian. So maybe that's a skill that I would need to develop over time. If it's a skill, then maybe I'm going to demand higher wages. So it's not just about minimum wage staff working in possibly retail. Not all of them are on minimum wage, by the way. These are skilled people. Maybe not all of them, but look at the ratios. Their staff costs are quite heavy. We've got this image. Well, is it a limited image? If suddenly there's a boom in the economy, what will a pawnbroker's image be like? Maybe they make a lot more money in economic downturn and a lot less when the economy is booming. Overall, hopefully they make some money. But they've grown to 165 stores. What happens if we have an economic boom? Will we see that shrink? Maybe they'll only open up in sort of perceived deprived areas. Okay, so we're going on to YED, and we know the formula, we've talked about it, and we can see that we've got a contextualized definition here. You've got YED textbook, and then we're talking about obviously those pawnbroking services and thinking about economic downturn, real incomes form, all consumers might be using the pawnbroking services. So, and quotation marks around evidence. You'll notice I've not given you an exam question. These are not PBLT paragraphs. We're just doing a quick revision on the theory. So if we think about those advantages, again, as real incomes decrease, the demand for Ramsdens pawnbroking services increase. And we're going to have a look at the case study a bit more in depth in a second, because the evidence on the surface argues against that. This is an inferior product. However, real incomes are increasing at the moment, and so are their profitabilities, except for some of their stuff is stagnating. So we could use that to interpret the data, okay, in context with YED. Okay, they know their target market as well. This is really important. So when you look at average wages across the economy that are going up by, I don't know, 3-point-something% was in the news this morning. Not everyone's is going up by 3-point-something%. Public sector pays are going up by over 6% at the moment, but the average is 3-point-something%. Well, there's going to be some people that might be taking wage reductions. There'll be some that have got stagnant wages. It might be people that are only getting wage rises in line with inflation. Okay, remember that real wage is the important concept here. So when you see an average, don't take it at face value. Think about those people that are getting pay rises in real terms. Okay, look beyond the surface level data, question it, because these guys' profits and sales are increasing whilst real incomes are increasing. According to this theory, that doesn't make them an inferior product. They are an inferior product. The disadvantages are, yes, we know, they're vulnerable to the economic cycle. So if there's a sudden boom, maybe they see less customers. I'm not wealthy, being a poor Dalmatian, but I wouldn't think about going to a pawnbroker's to buy, I don't know, the lady of my dreams, a diamond or something from the pawnbrokers. Maybe I should. I don't know, but I wouldn't do it. So you've got to think about why people would go to these places, and these places will do better during economic downturn. It's like the constant reminders we have about Lidl and Aldi's versus Tesco's. Yeah, and now everyone's price matching Lidl and Aldi's because they know how price sensitive we are. And that bottom bit there of the brand perception is really quite important. Okay, so where's that thing? Is up there. Okay, so we've got some data in here. We've got 20% increase in their active loan book. We could talk about YED from the perspective of different parts of their brand portfolio. So don't just treat the brand Ramsden as one product. We've got a description in the case study, in the article, of a range of products. This is one company with a range of products in its portfolio. Hopefully, during economic downturn, some will see a growth. Buying gold, active loan books increasing, things like that. And it could be with an economic upturn that people have more disposable incomes, and maybe they'll start increasing their sales of jewellery and not just loans against it. Okay, so we've got that. And then later in the case study, we've got this. There's a lovely however point here, which is quite important for us to think about. So we've got, total pay rose by 1.3%, while regular pay, excluding bonuses, increased by 1.4%. This wasn't in the original article, by the way. I just Googled this to get some, I was thinking of extract B might be real incomes. We've got 6.6% regular growth in earnings. We've got a difference between public sector here as well. So we've got this evidence says, actually, if Ramsden's business is growing whilst there's a growth, we would be thinking this is a normal good. Okay, I'm not thinking it's luxury, but I would be thinking it's a normal good. Well, some parts of their product portfolio might be normal. You could justify that using the data. Or you could also say, however, what's not in the case study is a breakdown of all wages in the UK, and maybe there are some people that in real terms are not seeing pay rises. Therefore, they might be drawn towards going to pawnbrokers. Okay, hopefully that was useful. That is the end. And we've got loads of stats there. We could do subtractions, we could do reverse percentage changes, and there's loads of stuff we could have done with this data, but that's bringing branding and YED together with the article that was rephrased for this activity, again, borrowed from the Times. Thank you very much for the Times. And I've adapted it and updated it. Okay, hopefully that was useful.